India has maintained a consistent, clear and long-standing position towards Palestine. India has always supported a negotiated two-state solution within secure and recognized borders, living side by side in peace with Israel. According to official sources, India was one of the first non-Arab countries to recognize PLO as the sole and legitimate representative of the people of Palestine, becoming one of the first countries to recognize the state of Palestine. India condemned the terror attack by Hamas on 7th of October 2023. However, it remains concerned at the security situation. India has also reiterated time and again for peaceful resolution of the conflict through dialogue and diplomacy. India has not voted against any of the 175 resolutions on Israel-Palestine issues in the UN during the last 10 years. And most recently, in September this year, India voted in favor of New York Declaration, which was on the peaceful settlement of the question of Palestine and implementation of a two-state solution. Further, India has extended humanitarian assistance to the people of Palestine, both bilaterally and through United Nations Relief and Work Agency for Palestinian refugees in Near East. India contributes $5 million to UNRWA annually. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has excellent relationship with the leaders of both Israel and Palestine. In February 2018, Prime Minister Modi visited Palestine, becoming the first Indian Prime Minister to make such an official visit. Also, Prime Minister Modi was conferred the Grand Collar of the State of Palestine by President Mahmoud Abbas, recognizing his key contribution to promote relations between India and Palestine. All right, our correspondent Akshay Dongre joins us to get us more. Akshay, we've seen that President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have forged a 20-point plan which they've put forth. Though the plan has been welcomed by the EU, by Arab countries and the Palestinian Authority, but Hamas is yet to react on it, and it has said that it is yet to receive this plan. Get us more, how viable or how feasible does this plan look?
Well, at the face value, at least, the plan looks quite viable, because if the Arab nations especially, withdraw their support from Hamas, then it has no standing to make any kind of demands or exert any kind of authority as far as decisions of the, or rather represent the people of Gaza and Palestine in general. So, the plan looks viable on paper, especially given the fact that in the past few months we have seen this conflict escalate to new heights, and the tipping point was the Israeli attack on the Qatari capital of Doha, where it targeted the Hamas leadership. However, that led to quite a lot of fallout, that led to a lot of rethink as far as America's own standing in the region is concerned. Qatar houses the largest US base in the region, and that country was attacked by one of the closest ally of the US, that was Israel. So clearly there were a lot of questions that were being raised about the authority of the US over Israeli actions, and how much the Israeli actions were being taken without even the knowledge of US top leadership. So that was clearly leading to a rethink, and that perhaps seems to be the reason why US was also forced to force Israel into stopping this conflict that has been going on for well over 2 years now. And as far as the long-term conflict is concerned, it has been going on for decades. However, India now has India has already come out in support of the peace plan that looks like it is going to stop the hostilities for at least some time in the future. And being a nation that has been an ally, has had diplomatic relations with both Israel and Palestine, India has been calling for dialogue and diplomacy as the way out from this particular conflict. And finally, it seems to be happening. Dialogue and diplomacy have in fact found out a way out of this entire hostility that has been going on for quite some time, has led to deaths of thousands of people so far, and the conditions that have been set have to be accepted by Hamas. Otherwise, Hamas also loses its own legitimacy as far as decisions are taken. It has been rather taking for the people of Palestine. So it looks like the plan may just work out, but it all depends on how the parties that are signatories to the peace plan, or in fact even Hamas, will respond to the plan in future.
All right, Akshay, only if the signatories agree to the peace plan, it will be, applicable in the future. But then Israel has also said that it would act independently to achieve its goals in case Hamas does not agree to the plan. So, would you say it's a kind of a do or die situation for Hamas? Yes.
Well, the situation is quite complicated now for Hamas because the Arab nations have accepted or rather are keen to accept the peace plan, especially because the countries that were funding Hamas, the countries that were supporting Hamas have themselves agreed to a peace plan. So there will be a lot of pressure on the top leadership. So clearly this is going to leave Hamas red-faced because the entire conflict started with a motive from Hamas side. However, whether that will be achieved or not, that is a big question. But the withdrawal of the Israeli forces from Gaza especially is one of the demands, or rather has been one of the demands from the Hamas side. That is also part of the peace plan. The reconstruction of Gaza will take place under the vision of all of these countries, under the scrutiny rather of all of the countries, including the US and other senior leaders from across the world who will be monitoring the peace plan, the ceasefire, how the countries are reacting to it. So any kind of deviation from the plan is going to be catastrophic not only for the region but for the world.
All right. Also, Akshay, the Indian government has appreciated the plan, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi has, put his word for a long-standing two-state solution for Israel and Palestine. Help us understand a quick background of what has been India's position with regard to this issue, and also how significant is this India's response when we talk of the 20-point plan put forth by US and Israel together.
Well, as far as India's stand with regards to Palestine is concerned, India has been a supporter of a two-state solution that includes a formation of Palestine as well. India was one of the first countries to recognize Palestine as a state soon after the independence in 1988 from Algeria. In fact, after the Algiers declaration, India was the first nation, one of the first nations outside the Arab world that came out fully in support of the Palestinian state's establishment. Also, it recognized PLO as the sole authority for the Palestinian people. So India's stand has been consistent, and that has been reiterated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi again. Even before this peace plan was out, we saw how the Indian statement in the UN clearly talked about a two-state solution, clearly talked about India being with the Palestinian cause. In fact, Indian diplomats at the UN had said that India is consistently standing with the Palestinian cause of our brothers and sisters there in Palestine. So that sums up our consistent position with regards to Israel. India has also condemned the attack that was carried out on 7th of October by Hamas. India called it a terror attack, and as far as Israel's security is concerned, its safeguarding is concerned, India has been consistently standing with Israel as well as far as protection of their sovereignty is concerned. So as far as the solution is concerned of two states, if the two states are formed peaceful and they continue to remain peaceful, it is in benefit of the region, it is in benefit of their trade, their freedom of movement, diplomatic ties with other countries, and especially for India because we were rather expecting a very ambitious plan that was the Israel Middle East economic India Middle East economic corridor that goes through that region, and unless there is peace in the West Asian region, that plan cannot be implemented. So it seems that if finally there is peace, there can be development and there can be a better diplomatic ties with other nations such as India.
All right, Akshay, we leave it here. Thank you so much for joining us and helping us understand the situation.